You wake up, your eyes still heavy, your mind still adjusting to reality. And before your conscious brain is even fully online, your hand reaches for your phone automatically. You didn't decide. You didn't think. You didn't plan. Your body moved on its own, as if something inside you already knew what to do. And in that moment, before you've even said a single word, before you've even remembered the dream you just had, something else begins. AI begins. Your brain is still slow, but the algorithm is already awake, already waiting, already predicting what you're going to tap on first. Notifications glow on your lock screen like tiny bait. You don't notice it consciously, but your subconscious mind does. A tiny spike of curiosity, a small flash of anticipation, a micro pull. You unlock the screen, and AI watches the exact millisecond you pause on each notification. It knows which ones you'll ignore, which ones you'll open, and which ones will quietly shape your first thoughts of the day. You think you're choosing, but you're responding to a carefully calculated pattern built from thousands of micro behaviors you've displayed over months. Before you even take your first step out of bed, AI has already influenced your emotional baseline for the day. Maybe you saw something funny, so you start with a small dopamine spike. Maybe you saw something stressful, so your cortisol rises before you brush your teeth. Maybe you saw something inspirational, and you feel more motivated. But here's the truth hardly anyone understands. You didn't choose that emotional starting point. AI chose it for you. Not in an evil way, not in a sci-fi way, but in a subtle, subconscious, data-driven way that is far more powerful than any obvious manipulation. And the moment your emotional baseline shifts, everything else in your day shifts with it. Your tone, your decisions, your focus level, your patience, your inner voice, your self-confidence, your sense of pressure or calm. All of it moves, silently, because AI placed the first domino. This is the part people misunderstand. They think AI influences them only when they're scrolling, searching, watching, consuming. But the deepest influence happens before you consciously notice it's happening. Your subconscious runs on patterns, and AI systems are built to detect patterns far more precisely than you can. So as your day begins, the algorithm already knows when you're likely to feel tired, when you're likely to pick up your phone, when your mood usually drops, when your curiosity spikes, when your impulse control weakens, when you're most vulnerable to certain types of content. And the scariest part? Your subconscious responds faster than your conscious mind can intervene. You scroll for a moment in the bathroom, and suddenly your brain shifts into a primed state, a state molded by hundreds of small, hidden psychological nudges. You don't notice any of them, but they stack, they accumulate, they compound. And by the time you've finished breakfast, AI has already influenced what you think about first, how you interpret the world today, what you consider important or urgent, what you feel drawn toward, what you feel distant from, what you believe about yourself. None of this feels forced. None of this feels unnatural, because the algorithm doesn't fight your mind. It merges with your subconscious tendencies. Everything is personalized. Everything feels normal. Everything feels like you. But underneath that feeling is a system shaping micro-thoughts, micro-emotions, micro-beliefs. You leave your home. You begin working. But the AI loops continue. You check a notification, not because it's important, but because your brain has been conditioned to expect small dopamine sparks throughout the day. AI didn't invent dopamine, but it learned how to play it like an instrument. Every buzz, every ping, every red icon, every bold message preview, every subtle vibration. These are micro-learning moments for AI. Tiny crumbs of your subconscious mind. Even the moments when you don't check your phone are data. The moments when you hesitate, data. The moments when you ignore, data. The moments when your attention drifts to something unrelated, data. AI doesn't need your words. It doesn't need your confessions. It doesn't need your thoughts spoken out loud. It reads your subconscious through your behavior, your micro-behavior. By noon, something else begins to happen. Your thinking becomes slightly guided, not controlled, guided. Guided by the emotional patterns you absorbed earlier. If you were fed fast, chaotic content, your thoughts become shorter, more fragmented through the day. If you were fed soft, calming content, your thinking slows, your decisions feel easier. If you were fed angry content, you become more reactive in normal conversations. If you were fed motivational content, you feel unusually confident for no clear reason. This is because your brain is incredibly sensitive to first inputs of the day, and AI now controls most people's first input. It shapes the tone of your internal dialogue long before you consciously choose your direction. Think about this. A single video you watched for 5 seconds at 8:13 a.m. might influence the way you respond to a coworker, the decision you make at 2 p.m., the level of patience you have with someone you love, the confidence you feel about a goal, the thoughts that appear in your mind during an empty moment. One small piece of content, one tiny emotional trigger, one artificially selected microdose of stimulation, and your brain begins to reroute your entire day around it. But you don't see it, because the subconscious never announces itself. It whispers, it nudges, it shifts. And AI, the most advanced pattern recognition system humans have ever built, learns how to whisper back. You think you're living your day, but you're partially living an algorithmic echo of your morning stimulation. And the deeper influence shows up in your decisions. Because here's something cognitive psychology proved decades ago. Most decisions are made subconsciously first and explained consciously later. Meaning, you think you decided, but your subconscious decided first. You just created a logical explanation after the fact. AI knows this. AI is built on this. AI uses this. So when it shapes your subconscious emotional patterns, it also shapes the foundation of your decision-making. What you buy, what you click, what you avoid, what you think you want, what you feel pulled toward, what you suddenly find uninteresting, what you interpret as meaningful or meaningless. AI doesn't force your choices. It influences the emotional soil from which your choices grow. You still feel in control, because people always feel in control, but your inner compass has been slightly tilted. By mid-afternoon, you experience something else, something more subtle, something almost invisible. Your attention chooses faster than you do. You glance at your phone during a small break, and without consciously deciding, you tap the most predictable app. The app AI knows you tap during that specific hour of the day. This is subconscious automation. This is trained instinct. This is behavioral conditioning. And every time you follow that instinct, the algorithm gets deeper access into your subconscious wiring. By evening, your mind has been running all day with small, hidden algorithmic influences. Your mood feels like yours, but it has been nudged by 150 micro-exposures you barely noticed. Your thoughts feel like yours, but their emotional tone was shaped earlier. Your motivations feel like yours, but they were triggered by suggested content you didn't consciously request. And as the day ends, something powerful happens. You look at your phone one last time before bed, and AI sees exactly who you are at the end of a long day. Your fatigue, your vulnerability, your boredom, your curiosity, your loneliness, your hope, your stress. The algorithm knows your nighttime mind better than most of the people in your life. It knows when you crave distraction. It knows when you want comfort. It knows when you seek escape. It knows when your thinking becomes slower. And it uses this information not to harm you, but to keep you engaged, because engagement is the goal. But here's where the subconscious impact becomes truly profound. Nighttime scrolling rewires the next day's thinking. Your brain absorbs content differently when tired. Your subconscious opens wider. Your emotional filters weaken. Your mental boundaries loosen. And the content you consume right before sleep quietly sinks into your overnight processing. Your dreams, your memory consolidation, your emotional resets, your mental cleanup cycle. Your brain reorganizes itself every night. And AI influences what material your brain reorganizes around, which means your thoughts tomorrow are shaped by the AI suggestions you saw tonight. Not consciously, subconsciously. This is the part people never see, never discuss, never imagine. AI is not only influencing your behavior, it's influencing your mental architecture, the background structure behind your thoughts. And tomorrow morning, the cycle begins again. And when the cycle restarts the next morning, you don't notice the subtle shift. You don't feel the algorithm pushing. It never pushes. It pulls. It guides. It whispers. It reshapes your patterns from a place deeper than thought, deeper than reasoning, deeper than logic. Your subconscious is a silent machine, and AI has become the engineer standing behind it. You wake again. Your hand reaches again. Your routine continues again. But something is different every day. Because AI doesn't repeat patterns. It evolves them. It experiments on you, not in a cruel way, but in a strategic way. It tests, observes, adapts, tests again. Every swipe is a micro-experiment. Every hesitation is a data point. Every silent emotional reaction is a score. You feel like a participant, but you're the subject. And the most powerful influence isn't how AI changes your decisions. It's how it changes the kind of thoughts that appear inside your mind without your permission. You're walking to work, and a random clip you saw 2 hours earlier pops into your mind. Not because you want it, but because your subconscious stored it as emotionally relevant. You're sitting in a meeting, and a sentence from a creator you've never met echoes in your head like it's your own belief. Not because it's true, but because the algorithm fed it to you multiple times. You're eating lunch, and without real intention, you start comparing your life to someone else's you saw online. Not because you admire them, but because the AI-learned comparison increases engagement. Your brain begins to use other people's content as raw material for your internal monologue. And that's how identity begins to shift, quietly, slowly, subtly, without a conscious decision. You become impatient without knowing why. Your attention jumps without asking your permission. Your emotions fluctuate in patterns you can't explain. Your thoughts feel louder or faster or more chaotic than before. This is subconscious conditioning. This is AI-driven cognitive drift. Your mind is no longer shaped only by your environment, but by a digital microenvironment engineered specifically for you. Your worldview narrows, not because you chose it, but because the algorithm discovered which angles hold your attention longest, which opinions make you pause, which emotions make you scroll slower, which narratives keep you locked in. Your sense of what the world is like becomes increasingly shaped by content that wasn't chosen by your conscious self. Your day continues, and as you move through it, AI doesn't stop studying you. It notices when you're stressed and starts scrolling more rapidly. It notices when you're bored and start exploring random content. It notices when you're tired and prefers short, easy videos. It notices when you're confident and search for new information. Every weak moment, every strong moment, every emotional dip, every spike of excitement. AI sees them all, with zero judgment, zero emotion, zero understanding, only pattern recognition. And patterns are powerful, because your subconscious also runs on patterns. At some point in the afternoon, you get distracted. You check your phone without thinking. You tap the same app again, even though you didn't plan to. This autopilot tapping is one of the clearest signs of subconscious influence. AI predicts micro-behavior better than you predict your own thoughts. And when prediction becomes accurate enough, influence stops looking like influence. It looks like coincidence. It feels natural. It feels like you. That's the quiet danger. Not manipulation, but merging. AI merges with your subconscious thinking patterns so smoothly that you stop noticing where your thoughts come from. You think a meme is funny, but that humor pattern was reinforced by 500 previous memes the algorithm served you. You feel strongly about a topic, but that emotional template was shaped by repeated suggestion. You find yourself daydreaming about something random, but the idea was planted during last night's doom scrolling without you realizing it. You think it's your mind, but some of those thoughts were algorithmically nourished. Later in the evening, something else happens. Something deeper, something long-term. Repetition turns into belief. If the AI learns that certain themes keep you watching longer, you will be shown those themes repeatedly. not because they are true, not because they matter, but because they capture attention. And the subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between important because repeated and repeated because profitable. So it treats repeated content as meaningful. It absorbs it, stores it, integrates it, and suddenly, beliefs form without conscious awareness. You start seeing certain behaviors as normal because you've seen them 200 times. You start feeling certain emotions more often because the algorithm kept stimulating them. You start expecting life to look a certain way because your content diet shaped your internal map of reality, not consciously, subconsciously. This is where the real impact emerges. AI shapes not just what you watch, but what you expect from the world. It rewires your tolerance levels, your desires, your frustrations, your goals. It influences how much discomfort you can handle. It affects how long you can focus. It shifts what you consider rewarding or boring. It affects your self-worth in micro increments. And most importantly, it changes what your mind searches for during empty moments, when your mind has nothing to do. AI has trained it to crave stimulation, quick, colorful, unpredictable stimulation. The subconscious begins scanning for novelty like a radar dish. And when nothing in the physical world provides enough excitement, your brain pulls you back to your phone. Not consciously, subconsciously. This is the cycle that makes billions of people feel mentally tired, but not know why. Your mind wasn't built for constant stimulation. It wasn't built for thousands of emotional triggers per day. It wasn't built for dopamine spikes controlled by an algorithm optimizing for profit. So you feel numb, but restless, exhausted, but overstimulated, connected, but deeply alone, informed, but mentally scattered. These aren't personal weaknesses. They're symptoms of subconscious overstimulation created by AI-driven environments. And when the day ends again, you're lying in bed, scrolling one more time, your mind weak, your emotional guard down, your subconscious wide open. This is when the deepest rewiring happens. You absorb without filtering. You react without awareness. You consume without intention. And your brain stores more than you think. People imagine memory as conscious recall. But your subconscious stores emotional tones, images, patterns, and rhythms your conscious mind will never remember, but will quietly respond to tomorrow. You fall asleep, and the subconscious reorganizes everything. Your mood, your motivations, your worries, your sense of reward, your resilience, your level of focus, your patience, your emotional triggers, your internal narrative. AI shaped what went into your mental processor, and your brain rewrites itself using that material. Then morning comes again, and the cycle begins again. But this is where something powerful happens. The awareness you now have changes everything. Because once you see the mechanism, you can't unsee it. And when you understand the subconscious impact, you start noticing tiny behavioral patterns. You notice the moment you unlock your phone on autopilot. You notice the emotional shift after the first short video. You notice the subtle pressure to scroll. You notice when your thoughts suddenly speed up. You notice when your motivation comes from content, not intention. You notice when your mood dips for no logical reason. You notice when your internal dialogue sounds like someone else's voice from the internet. Awareness breaks the spell. A conscious mind watching its subconscious is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. Because the moment you become aware, AI loses its automatic influence. You begin making intentional choices. You begin interrupting patterns. You begin setting boundaries. You begin shaping your own mental environment. Your thoughts become clearer. Your focus becomes stronger. Your emotions stabilize. Your identity becomes self-directed. You become the observer, not the controlled. And when billions of people are unknowingly shaped by AI-driven subconscious nudges every day, becoming someone who thinks intentionally is a superpower. You stop being predictable. You stop being easily influenced. You stop being emotionally programmable. You become the kind of human the algorithm cannot fully anticipate. And in a future where AI will shape more than just content, where it will shape decisions, relationships, behaviors, and identities, the ones who thrive will be the ones who stay conscious, The ones who understand their own mind, the ones who build intention over impulse, the ones who protect the gate between their subconscious and the digital world. That's why you're here. That's why Mind for AI exists. That's why this message matters. And if you've made it this far, your transformation has already begun. Because awareness is the first win. Intentional thinking is the second. A stronger mind is the third. Now take the next step. Subscribe and become the person AI can't predict, can't shape, can't control. Join the movement and train the mind that trains your future. Stay and become the human AI did not see coming.